Did you know that in the last municipal election, only about 25% of eligible voters in Waterloo Region cast a ballot? That voter turnout was even lower in African, Caribbean, and Black communities. That's why Run for Office Waterloo Region launched hashtag Project 3000WR, an initiative to register 3,000 new voters before the municipal election. Your vote is your voice. It shapes the decisions that affect our neighborhoods, our environments, public transit, housing, and community services. This October 26, let's make our voices impossible to ignore. Register to vote, encourage your family and friends to do the same, and when you register, tag us on social media using hashtag Project 3000WR. Together, let's build a stronger, more representative Waterloo Region.
Community connections, CKMS. Local sounds, thoughts, passions, and success. Celebrate local, your neighbor's got a story to tell. Community connections, CKMS.
Happy Monday, Waterloo Region. You're listening to CKMS Community Connections for the 10th of August, 2026. In the studio with me are Lulia and Marcia from Run4OfficeWR.
Hello,
Welcome.
Hello, Bob. Thank you for having us.
We'll be
Hello,
talking to you.
This is Marcia. Thank you, Bob, for the wonderful invitation.
You're very
to
welcome.
attend today.
Talking to you in great detail in just a few minutes. Going to listen to something called My Numb Finger by Firefly.
Lingered in the air. The words you knew from songs, well, you tried to pull meaning from them there. Should not take me long. I was the only one. Who knew what kind of wood? Tell when it was good, you. Was I lied to? No, that's way too cruel. Just a bit diffused, and that itself is way too cruel. Too cruel. Should not take me long. I was the only one. Till it falls apart. What kind of wood could tell when it was good glue you
Firefly with My Numb Finger. Fairly recent music from KW Content musicians. Musicians from Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, and the surrounding townships. In the studio with me are Lulia and Marcia from Run4OfficeWR, which sounds pretty obvious. You're going to encourage people to run for office in Waterloo Region. But it's more than that.
Yes, it is indeed more than that. While we are hoping in the long term to have more people running for office, the goal here is to have people actually voting in the first instance. Because when you look at the last election, the voter turnout was about 25%, which is not the most optimal of numbers. And we're hoping that if we can increase the voter turnout this year, and that's why our Project 3000 was introduced, an initiative that's working to have at least 3,000 new voters by the October election, that will help us out in, again, having more people running for office in that instance.
And how has it been? Have you encouraged 3,000 people to come out and vote?
I don't think we've reached our goal yet, but however, it is a goal that, in a way, we're pushing, we're encouraging people to register to vote. We are out in the community at the various festivals and other places that we're being invited to, because we know that if we don't get the kind of civic engagement that we need to build our community and keep our community safe, we're headed in the wrong direction. We need to head in the right direction, which is to encourage people to vote. And by extension, once they vote and they begin to understand the importance of it, especially at the municipal level, that we can then get new candidates for future elections. Even if we don't have them for this one, the next municipal election. And of course, we're going to have provincial elections and federal elections. We're not sure when we're going to get either, but we know that they're down the road. But civic engagement starts at the local level. We know that. And we know that since COVID, volunteering, in particular, has decreased.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's decreased at a time, now that we are past COVID, that we need a lot of those volunteers. And being involved in the voting process is also one of those ways that one can volunteer. As I'm a volunteer, I'm a retired secondary school teacher, and to me, this is something that I can get my teeth into in terms of helping people to understand their community, understand what it is, the roles of the various levels of government, in this case, mayors, councillors, regional councillors, that kind of thing. Because we know from talking to people that they really don't know. Many of them don't know who their ward councillor is. Right. If you ask them who their mayor is, some of them may know. Do they know what a mayor does? No. Do they know what a councillor does? No. And so when you get all those no's, then that's why people are disengaged. We need to get yeses to most of that. And so we need to collaborate, and this is one way of doing that, is bringing people together and helping them to understand that the process can work, but we need you to vote.
So aside from the electoral process,
Yes.
You say that civic engagement is important. Do people even understand what civic engagement means?
Yeah, you know what? And that's part of what we're doing when we're talking to people we notice that if you talk to people one-on-one and you ask them, what's really important to you in this community today, they'll tell you what some of the issues are. So, for example, they'll talk about homelessness. They'll talk about the cost of housing. Affordability, those issues, and also some of them will talk to you about health and well-being and about the fact we're going to get a new hospital. What will that mean to me? How costly is that going to be? So there are all kinds of questions that people have. And because we have these people called councillors and mayors and so forth, yes, a lot of them are out and about, but more often than not, they're not out and about, especially in the places that we were this summer. They weren't there. And we were the people that they were asking those questions of. And so we realized that in order to engage our community, we need to be out there. We need to be having conversation. And people need to feel not afraid to ask questions, because there really are no dumb questions. You know what I mean?
No.
Especially when it comes to your community. Because again, you come to a community. I know that when I think about my family, came to Canada in the 60s, and they came because it was this place that said it was going to be safe and it was going to provide an education for their children and so forth and so on. And I've been in this community since '82, and the same, every group of people that I meet, no matter where they've come from, they're coming essentially for the same reasons. They're coming because this area, it gives people the impression that it's going to be safe. It's going to be a place that I can afford to buy a house if I want to buy a house, and that I'll be able to have half-decent schools to send my children to, and indeed have a job, right, and feel relatively safe and all of those things. So people essentially come for the same reasons, no matter, as I said, no matter where they come from. But we know that the issues that are affecting people the most, affordability of housing, homelessness, safe and equitable communities, food safety, or food security, I should say, and poverty, health and well-being, even transit and unemployment have shown up in some of the informal surveys that we've been doing with people over the last 5 years. Because we've been around since 2020, very quietly, started out very small, And Lulia is now our student coordinator of public outreach. And, so we've progressed a little bit. So it's not just me and this older person and my two other colleagues who work full time. So we know now that it's really important that people get this information and that they get it in a very unthreatening kind of way.
Right.
And that's the other piece, because again, people come from different parts of the world. They take out citizenship, yes, but they don't always vote. All right? So we're trying to encourage those new people who've taken out citizenship, said yes to Waterloo Region, but we now need them to vote.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
One of the obligations of citizenship is to be engaged,
yes.
not just civically, but provincially, federally,
Yes.
at all levels of not just government, but in the community.
Yeah, we want people to be, even if it's a small role that you can play, and I know many people play the role of the coach, to their child's soccer team or baseball team and that kind of thing, or hockey, if hockey is your thing. And, of course, basketball, because that's the other one, and soccer now, because we just had the World Cup. So we know that people do those kinds of things, and those are important as well. But we also know that there are other roles that we have for people in our community, in terms of helping out one another, even knowing who your neighbors are,
Yeah,
If you live in an apartment building, more often than not, we know that people may not know the people down the hall. They may know the people on either side of their apartment, but do they know the people down the hall? They might say hi to them in the elevator, or, their eyes cross, that kind of thing with one another. But we need to know who's there with us, and we never know. We might be making a new friend and being able to help our community move forward.
Yeah, what I've heard called the vertical neighborhood.
Yes, and I live in one of those.
Ah.
Not too high, but I live in one, and I know who my neighbors are.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, not everybody does.
No, but we need to know who our neighbors are.
Yeah. You mentioned that the demographic that is generally civically engaged
Yes.
are the gray hair crowd.
Yeah, if you check out through StatsCan and through other engagement measures, it looks as if homeowners and people over 50 are the ones who tend to vote in elections. Yes, many people who have children are indeed voting, but the group that we know is not voting too much, and that's the younger people. Gen Z and some of our millennials, they're not voting.
Right.
And we need them to vote.
Right.
We need them to become civically engaged. And we also know that many of the people who run our municipal government and have various jobs, maybe in the next 10 years, many of them are retiring.
Right.
So we need people to get trained in some of those skill sets that we're going to need in municipal government, in provincial government, in federal government, although we know that there's this move to decrease the size of government. Yeah. But we're still going to need skilled people to run various things. Right. Water treatment came up just recently, and the changing garbage, all kinds of things we're going to need. Very skilled people to be planning how we're going to move forward.
Yeah. So Lulia, you're not part of the gray-haired crowd. How did you get involved? What made you decide you wanted to be civically engaged to this level of engagement?
Well, that's a good question there. I was actually going to add to what Marcia was saying, that yes, we do have, the gray hair crowd that's way more, politically engaged in that sense. But we're also seeing a lot of youth that are also very interested in the work that we're doing. We have a lot of youth volunteers that, starting in high school and are just very interested in, the disconnect that we have is we're not, entirely sure how well the governance here affects us, right? We're not sure how much it affects our daily lives. And then once I have a conversation with a student, and I say, well, did you know that, your parents are maybe paying for a bus pass that may cost them, I don't know, close to $100 a month? And they're like, okay. And I'm like, that is actually the responsibility of the regional government. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, well, who decided, the price of $100 is, is affordable? That's what I should be paying. And I'm like, well, if you had voted, or if your parents had voted in time, then maybe that would have been a discussion or an issue that would have been brought up.
Now, to be fair, even the people who don't vote still get the representation from the councillors, from the region, from the municipality.
And they get it regardless of whether they voted or not. But the hope is that they do vote. and that they don't only reach out to their counselors when they've got a problem.
Right.
I think what we need people to do is to feel comfortable enough to give constructive criticism from time to time, and also to give ideas, because yes, our counselors step up and they get elected and so forth, but they're not the only one with ideas about how to improve our community, how to keep it safe. So we need to make sure that the door is open, or that the ears are open to hearing what it is that people might want to contribute, and not to be intimidated by whatever the processes are. And that's also part of what I call civic engagement, is feeling comfortable enough to be able to say, you know what, I think I have an idea about how to improve this, or something else on my street that needs to be taken care of. I need you to listen to what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that we will get lots of new people running for office in this municipal election. And I see that the list is getting a little longer, because they have until the end of August to step up.
August 21st, actually, not even the end.
Yes, August 21st, which is, not that far away.
2 weeks?
2 weeks ago to go. And we want people to feel that it's comfortable enough to reach out and to say, this is what I think is important. And as I said, we've listened to people tell us what kinds of issues are really important to them. And I'm sure there are many more. I mean, because you've got people who are into, bike lanes and various other things that are going on.
Well, some of the good things, like,
Yeah.
block parties and
yeah.
festivals and all those things fall under the purview of council as well.
Exactly. And things like noise bylaws and all of those kinds of things. So I know about some of that. I think one of the things that we want to encourage people to do is to continue to write letters, and to say what's working and what's not. Being involved in any kind of campaigns that are going on in the community to improve things. Even participating in protests and rallies around an issue that is important to you, and doing it responsibly, and signing petitions is also another way that we can become involved. And visiting our various councils. You can visit them online now. You don't have to go to the councils.
Right.
You can pretty well tune in to the various meetings, because most of them are online. And if you didn't watch one, you can catch it by going to the website and seeing the previous meeting, or the ones, see the schedule, all of those kinds of things. And we know that younger people are more interested in seeing some of the things via social media, whether it's, not Facebook, because that's for older people.
Is it?
Yes, it's now either TikTok and various other, ones, because again, it's not the ones that I'm necessarily aware of, but they know which ones that they want to get their information from. And we just need to make sure that we put it there and encourage them to give us some feedback. So I think that's the least that we can do. And as I said, I'm really gung-ho about getting the younger vote out, and that's one of the reasons why we have a bright young person, doing outreach and encouraging student volunteers, who we know, in order to graduate high school, you need 40 hours of community service, and we're more than willing to have students come and spend some time with us, and a couple of hours. We always try to feed them and give them a T-shirt when they're leaving. And if they like to volunteer with us more than once, we sometimes even give them an honorarium for that, because we know students need money, right? But that's one of the ways of getting engaged with the younger group, and having one-on-one conversations or small group conversations. It's amazing how far that can go,
So having this campaign launch in the summer has got to be a bit of a detriment for reaching out to students.
Well, in a way, not, because we have a number of students who are still here, and they attend various summer festivals. They love summer festivals, right? And music and all of those kinds of things. So that's what we do. We, if it's not me, it's other members of our crew or our volunteers go to summer festivals and get an opportunity to interact with younger people as well as the older ones. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. And we have a lot of them that are also staying over, and most of them might be high school students as well that go to the local high schools in the region, and it's a nice way for them to be acquainted with their region as well, their home, and so they learn. They get to meet other counselors, and it's their way of engaging with the civic governance that you really have.
Right.
And it's always like, oh, I did not know you're my counselor. It's always a
Yeah.
fun thing for them to learn about their wards and what their townships does, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I want to delve into that a little bit more, find out exactly what sort of programs and events you're putting on. I
Well-
think what I would like to do first, though, is
Yes.
to play another piece of music.
Sure.
This is a group called Awake and Dreaming, who were in the studio with us last year. This is a new song called Antidote.
Wow.
Caught in a spider's web, flashes across my head. I just want your attention. Come set me free. Take me into the dark. Away from prying eyes, wrap me in threads of silver, keep me under your spell. Maybe you're the antidote to all of this poison inside of me. Maybe you're the antidote. And I need you more than anything. You're all I crave. Lost in a hazy crowd, dizzy and out of focus. Will you come rescue me? I'm still breathing, waiting near the door, watching so unassuming. Are you a predator too? Hunting me, hunting you. Maybe you're the antidote to all of this poison inside of me. Maybe you're the antidote, and I need you more than anything. You're what I I'm still breathing. I'm still breathing. I'm still
That's Antidote by Awake and Dreaming. New music, relatively new music at any rate, sometime within the last year. Hope to have more music by them, maybe on another day. In the studio with me are Lulia and Marcia from Run4OfficeWR.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Once again,
We were talking about some of the activities that you're putting on to encourage people to vote.
that is right. Yes.
Yeah, and you've got something happening, once a month, first Friday of every month?
Yes. So we have this event called the Guest Speaker Series, which is an event where we invite someone that has run for office before and whether they've successfully entered office or not is not necessarily the focus, but it's more so someone that has run for office and can give us some sort of insight. And then we host it at the University of Waterloo. So it's going to be, it's been happening since April, and it's on the first Friday of every month.
Right.
And it's going to go up until October. And you know, well, we just had Marjorie night
Right.
last week,
Mm-hmm.
and it was amazing. Like always, we've had, you know, we give people food, and we have a lot of open networking, and it's open to various members of the community. And the goal here is, you know, to let people know that the, you know, politics and, you know, government is not so far away or so distant in the
Right.
future, but it's something that's very closer to you and something you can, I guess, in some cases even touch, because you have
Yeah.
someone that has run for office before there to come and tell you about their insight and their experiences and how they found, you know, having a campaign, etc. And we do have a focus on having a candidate that might be diverse or come from come from an African, Caribbean, or Black community, or, you know, come from
Right.
a underrepresented group, as we like to say. And
Mhm.
then, because then, you know, they might have a much more niche experience than most in some
Right.
cases.
You know, I just want to add here that one of the things that we're fighting against is that we know that some of the research says that politics is boring and, you know, it's not really that engaging. Where's the creativity in politics? Local politics, are you crazy? That kind of thing. But we know it's really important that there's a saying that what's closest to home is often the furthest from the mind. All right, this is
Okay,
what I
yeah.
got in a democracy exchange summit that I looked at, and that's so true. That people are more interested in what's happening far away than they are with what is happening close to them. And so by having these, you know, first Friday in the month sessions and meeting real people who have actually put themselves out there, and telling you some of the good things that happened to them while they did it, and some of the not so good things. But it at least it's real, you know. It's not something that's far away. It's right there, and you can't ignore it. And one of the things that we've noticed is that after the person does their presentation, it's amazing how many questions they get, how many people linger after. Sometimes we wish they'd go home, but they don't want to go home. They're so busy, and it's not because we've got more food left, because usually the food is all gone. But there might be something there to drink, but they are so engaged with talking to each other and to the presenter about how they did what they
Right.
did, whether they were successful or not. It's really, really powerful.
People finally coming
yeah.
to the realization
Yeah,
that
to realize that this too could happen. You
Right.
too could do this.
Yeah.
You know, is what I think the realization. Again, it's
Mm-hmm.
mostly younger people that are attending these
Okay.
sessions. Yes, we encourage other people to come, but again, it's a way for bringing the young people so that they can see it is possible for
Okay.
them.
I would have thought it would be the
You'd be surprised. We have students, mostly students that come in, and usually by the end of the night, our presenters have to like find a way to slip away.
Because otherwise they'll keep wanting to
Right.
talk to them.
Yeah,
You know?
it's always
Yes.
we have the speaker session, and then we get to the Q&A, and then after that there's the open networking round that we have, and even then it's just questions upon questions. And
So this people from the audience just realizing for the very first time that politicians are approachable, civic engagement
Yes.
is not as difficult as they
Yes.
thought,
Yes.
that there really is no barrier to running for office.
There isn't, and it's like a mind-opening experience for them. And sometimes you'll have other, you know, politicians that may join us that are attending the event as well.
Mhm.
And so then it becomes like it's a very funny thing to see when you see like most of them just being engaged, and these like all of these students going from one politician to the other, and from the
Right.
presenter, to the other person, and they're just asking some of the most insightful questions you can think of, and it's mainly like, wow, I did not know I could do this, or it's this close, or and then they're asking questions like, well, what did you need to start a campaign, or what did you need to, you know, go forth, like what was your why, as you know, Marjorie Knight was sort of hammering down at our last event, and it's some of them were asking, how do we even figure out what the why is so we can run for office, and what do we do? And then, you know, it's and then there's us, you know, Run for Office sort of like pitching into these conversations like, well, you know, at Run for Office we offer some services. If you're considering running for office and you're coming from a community that, you know, hasn't run for office before, well, you can come to us and we can, I guess, give you a consultation and show you and tell you what the process is and
Right.
what it entails and what you can go and what you can do, sort of these things. And
Is this something you do at those Friday night sessions?
We do that after.
We do it after.
It depends, because often it's one-on-one that you need to do that, or one on two people, two or three people, who can sit down and say, okay, if you're serious about this, this is where you need to go. These are some of the steps that you need to take.
Here's your pros and cons.
These are there's some thinking that one has to really do, because, once you put yourself out there, you have to be prepared for some scrutiny. And some of the scrutiny is not necessarily what you're expecting.
Exactly.
So all of those kinds of things we have to encourage people to do.
Is this like campaign school?
Yes, and you know what?
Sort of a campaign
Yeah,
school.
we're prepared to give you the beginnings of that, and also send you in the direction of where you can get far more detail. And often that's one of the most useful things, is to meet some people who can direct you. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with party politics.
The way that I like to think of our of these sessions is, if, like, the minute that you decide, maybe I want to run for office, and you may not have people to consult with or talk with, or sometimes you may have someone that has run in your neighborhood, but not necessarily around you. So then when you come to run for office, we'll be essentially a group of people that will sit with you and decide, well, we know you want to run for office, but why do you want to run for office? What is your why? Have you thought about your pros and cons? Have you thought about, in this state of the life that you are in right now, is this what you want to do? And all of these things that they may have not thought about, that we open their eyes to, and we say, well, okay, you want to start a campaign? That's beautiful. First thing you have to do is file your nomination at City Hall, maybe pay the fee. Sometimes it's $100, I believe. And then, there's other things to think about. Have you joined other campaigns? Have you done door-to-door knocking? So many other things that they may not have thought about that we bring their attention to.
Right.
And then if they're like, yes, this is something that I want to do, then we, in some cases, refer them to, the next steps that they may have to do.
I guess there's really two streams of learning that take place there. It's learning how to run a campaign, learning how to run for office,
Yes.
but also learning all the issues that need to be dealt with once you've elected to the office.
Yeah.
Well, number one, I think one of the key skills that anybody who wants to do this kind of work or provide this kind of community service is you've got to learn to listen. You really have to listen, and sometimes you have to listen to things or people that don't necessarily, jive with your values. But if indeed they are part of the community that you are expecting to represent, you're going to have to listen to them as well, and be, quite respectful, and sometimes you have to be direct and say, you know what, I appreciate your point of view, but I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? And that's okay.
That can be very encouraging.
It would be. I think most people would be quite respecting of that.
Yes.
And wouldn't be the kind who would slam the door in your face, if you know what I mean. They'd be the kind of person to say, well, all right, you know what? Here's somebody who's willing to at least listen to me. And, maybe I should consider voting for them, because at least I know that there's a door open there when I need somebody to talk to. And I think that's, it really breeds a community that is relatively safe for most people. It's okay to have people who don't agree with you. You're never going to have everybody agree with you, and that's one of the things that we've learned, or we are learning, is that's meaningful participation involves listening to individuals and recognizing that not everybody is going to think the same, that kind of thing. So it's hard, but it's hard but rewarding work to do. At least I'm finding what we're doing quite rewarding, and it can be a challenge at times, because we have encountered some individuals who were saying things that our value set would say no, and we're not necessarily telling people which party to be involved with if they're looking to party politics. That's indeed their choice. Okay, but we are saying that you need to understand very clearly, if you're going to run for any office, whether it's municipally, provincially, or federally, you have to know your why. Why are you doing this? And what is the red line for you? Everybody's got to know where the things stop. You can't go beyond. you need to be able to articulate that for yourself and also probably share
To
that with
express
others.
that with
Yeah.
the potential voters out there,
Yeah,
because I
exactly.
think they really appreciate somebody who can say, this is not something I'm willing to do for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, that sometimes sways the votes in your own direction. You know?
Exactly,
I
as
can't-
opposed to away from you.
Yeah.
I think people like, you know, there is this stereotype of politician. You know, people
Mm-hmm.
who use language and say nothing. If you know what I
Yes,
mean.
mhm.
I think we're at a time in our development as a nation and as a community. We haven't got time for that now.
No.
We need to things are moving so rapidly that we need to make sure that when we're doing something or when we're presenting something that we're real. You know,
Yeah.
we're giving people the real goods.
Does the plain-speaking politician still exist?
Yeah, I think so. I think you know, I'm seeing a few, and I'm hoping to cast my vote for a few.
Okay, good.
You know, whether they will be successful or not, I don't know. But I'm willing to put my vote, and I have to tell you, I've voted since I was 18. I mean, it was
Right.
something that my family did, and you know, I'm talking to others, and they're telling their children, make sure that you've turned 18, even if you're not home. You need to find out what's going on in the community where you're studying or where you're living, and make sure you vote. So
Yeah.
we're
yeah.
trying to do the same.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I voted in every election that I've been able to vote in, except one,
Yes.
and that was a disastrous one because the provincial government changed over and became terrible. So it was all my fault, and I'm sorry to everybody
Well.
for not having voted in that election.
Yeah. But
But sometimes it happens, you know. Sometimes a single vote can make a
That
difference.
is true.
Well,
that is true.
you know, we've had federally. I think we had a couple of situations. Wasn't there one in Quebec just recently? There was it was
Yeah.
either 1 or 2 votes,
Mm-hmm.
and there had
Turned
to be
over a
whole,
couple of
whole
times.
recount and the whole 9 yards, right?
Yeah,
So
went to court.
it's- yeah,
Mhm.
yes, it can come down to that.
But even right here in Kitchener, back
Yes.
in 2010, 2012 maybe, there was one ward that was decided by a single vote.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
you know,
The-
it happens here too.
It was in Kitchener, right?
That was in Kitchener,
Kitchener.
Ward 10. No, not.
Was it Waterloo?
It was the Victoria Park riding.
Okay, so that would be Kitchener.
Yeah, that's Kitchener.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It still happens to this day. If you look at some of the, you know, the polls that, or the, you know, like the voter turnout. For example, if the voter turnout here was 25% in, you know, the region of Waterloo, in some wards, especially in the townships, the people that have not run for office, there's just certain wards that are empty, no
Yes.
candidate, no whatever.
Yes.
But then in some of these, you know, races, 1 vote, 2 votes, 35 votes, and that's all that it is.
Yeah.
So it still happens to this day. It's not like, you know, a relic of the past in that sense. And that's why whenever we're having our discussions and we're talking to people and they say, well, I don't know, why would my vote even matter in that sense? It's just 1 vote. We always push down and hammer down this message of, well, you know, your votes matter, your voices matter, and you belong in these political spaces. You must be engaged in these discussions, and you need to realize 1 vote is, you know, 1 vote among many, and it counts and it matters just as much.
Mhm.
So
It's very distressing to see the number of vacancies that still exist in some of the ridings.
yes.
Looking at Wellesley, for example, who have no candidates yet in
No.
Ward 1 or Ward 2 or Ward 4.
No.
Yeah.
A number of the incumbents who have not yet declared their intention to run or their
Yeah.
intention to
Yeah,
not seek
yeah.
office again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, your work is cut out for you.
Oh, well, we know, and that's fine. We signed on for this.
Yes, we do.
And we're kind of excited about the fact that in our conversations with people, we're really trying to help them understand that, you know, that maybe it's too bad that we only get to vote every 4 years because you do it and then you forget about it. Well, you really can't afford to forget about it because what you voted for or against, right, is going to influence your life or
Right.
how the community is going to run. So you really do need to be paying more attention. So, for example, I know in the city of Toronto, they have created a Center for Democracy, and they've done it through the public library system.
Okay.
And so people are learning about democracy on a regular basis. Each of the libraries have opportunities for people to learn about democracy and how it works
And this is
locally.
a continuous program, not just
Yeah, it's a
during the election
continuous
period.
program. It doesn't run just every 4 years when we're voting.
Okay.
So we're keeping voting up on the top of the brain as opposed to in the back of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that we can engage people all the time and not just some of the time. We can help them understand policy development, and maybe, as one of the librarians said, maybe municipal politics isn't sexy. That's why people don't really want to know. And if it was, maybe, boy, we would really catch people's attention. Well, I guess they're trying in the City of Toronto with the Democracy Centre through the Toronto Public Library System. They're trying to do it. And I would suspect that we here, too, in our library systems, are trying to engage people using library facilities to hold various, town halls and various other things. I think it is something that we need to keep going and not just have us think about it, every 4 years or every however many years it is between elections.
Right.
It's really important that we make it accessible and fun, perhaps. Maybe that's what the
Okay,
problem
yeah.
is. There's not enough fun.
No, it's all serious business. Councillors deal with important issues that are
Yes.
generally of a serious nature.
Well, yeah,
Fire
but there's
services,
still, but
police
people
services.
still, you know what? If life becomes too boring, then again they'll use that label around
Yeah,
politics.
yeah.
I just think we need to, if we engage more with one another, we'll find the fun. We'll find the joke that's appropriate, if you know what I mean.
One of the things that you do get, being a councillor, you get invited to all sorts of local events.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Block
Yeah.
parties, festivals,
Yes.
Barbecues.
barbecues,
Yeah.
openings of businesses. And,
Well, they
and-
certainly get lots of invitations to eat food.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
I guess I have to watch the waistline at a certain point. But anyway, no, it's important to recognize that yes, councillors get invited to all kinds of things, but they also need to, when they get invited, that hopefully they're all listening. And anybody who wants to become a councillor needs to recognize that listening is probably, and telling people why you want to do it is really probably the most important thing. Some of the other stuff will fall into place.
That is true.
Like the campaign, the small group that helps you with your campaign.
That is true.
And finding about the money and all of those things. I mean, Elections Canada or Elections Ontario, it's pretty well laid out what you have to do if you're
Yeah.
running for a particular position.
Yeah.
So that piece is pretty straightforward, and you just need to make sure you're familiar with all of it, because you're responsible for all of
Right.
it. So
So in the case of municipal politics, it's not a party system municipally here in Ontario.
no.
And so you don't have the backing of a large party machine to help you out with a lot of those details, like financial agents and whatnot.
But I think one of the things you have to, if you are prepared to stand for office, you have to be prepared to say to people who are important to you, and who believe in what you're about, say to them that you might need some money from them. All right? You have to ask.
Campaign funding
and lots
is-
of
is
people,
crucial.
yeah, because how
Yeah.
do you finance, a small campaign? If you're going to run for a school board trustee, it might cost a few $1,000s by the time you figure out lawn signs and pamphlets and T-shirts, if that's what you're getting into, and multiple thousands of dollars if you're running for regional council, and and you're going to represent, be one of the four represent Kitchener, or one of the two that represents Cambridge, or one of the two that represents Waterloo. I mean, you might have to put out quite a bit of money, but at that point, I think you'll hopefully understand how important it is to get those supporters. You need 25 names anyway, right, of
Signatures.
electors,
Yep, signatures,
to
mhm.
even to be taken seriously or to be put on the roll of electors, right? So it's important
Yeah.
that you know how to ask for money. If you're not very wealthy, of course, that makes it even more
Yeah.
important. But
Politics is a rich person's game because
is.
there is a lot of finance campaign money involved.
at the provincial and the federal level, you're right. But at the local level of becoming a school board trustee or a city councillor, no, it isn't a huge amount of money. It
Okay.
is some money, and not everybody's going to take out, for example, TV ads, and we've got social media today that's really helping a lot
Yeah.
of people. If
Yeah.
you know how to use it, and you've got friends who've got those skills, you could do quite well.
Trying to follow a lot of people who have declared their candidacy, who
Yes.
have just miserable social media
Yes.
profiles.
Right.
So that's something that a lot of candidates could learn.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, you've really got to do your homework around. What is it that I'm going to need in order to get my story out,
Right.
or get my voice out? You really do have to do your homework and find those creative souls who are supportive of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pay for those skills too.
Yes.
right? They may not come to you free of charge.
And often you get donations of services
Exactly.
in kind that
Exactly.
will do that for you. People
Yes.
who want to support a candidate
Right.
but can't financially afford to do so.
Yeah, but we'll give you their time and their skill.
Exactly.
And, and their creativity, which
Yeah.
is wonderful.
The one piece of advice that we give to candidates that approach us about running for office also is that they have to be visible. And so we always say you have to be visible, you have to be seen. You, whether it's coming to events, whether it's on your social media, and you're making sure that you're making it a point to show again your potential voters, your people that will be running your campaign or voting for you, that you're dedicated to the community and you're coming to what needs to be done.
Yeah. Campaign technique called main streeting. Just walking down the street and talking to people who are walking by.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't come out of nowhere and decide I'm going to
Yeah.
run for office in this ward or here.
And
It
yet I
has to
see a number of candidates who have registered who I've heard boo from. You can't find them online, can't find them
Well,
anywhere.
which is
so-
bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you put your name forward when you're not going to have any kind of visibility? That doesn't make any sense. All right. In the ward, maybe you've got people who can go out and take your material and put it in houses. But if people don't get to see you and hear you or see you interacting with any other people, then there's a good possibility that you won't be successful.
Yeah. Want to play some more music?
Sure.
This is Missy Bauman. Fairly new song called Knives.
Breathing in the pieces of what I thought of what happened. I can seem to realize that sometimes you've got to let it go. So I skated down to Dufferin. I feel metal in my mouth. You make a promise, break a promise when I ask you for your help. So I missed the train last Sunday, and I'm left here with my thoughts. It feels so empty here without you, remembering what I've lost. Surround me with your energy. I miss the way you feel when the sun corrects the darkness. I just wanna hold your hand in mine, you said. How does it feel to be one of us? How does it feel to be one of us? I've been waiting for the day that you'd walk back into my life, and it sounded so peculiar, but I had to see it right. I hold you close, bite into you, and tell you you feel warm, and you promise me, still promise me, that you'll still hold me closer when it storms. How does it feel to be one of us? How does it feel to be one of us?
Missy Bauman. Song called Knives, probably from a year ago or so. Missy Bauman's in the studio with us a couple of years back. Hope to have her back someday. In the studio with me right now are Marcia and Lulia from Run4Office Waterloo region.
Yes.
Yes.
An organization that I thought was pervasive, tremendously large, cross-province, possibly across the entire country, but no.
Yeah.
How big is Run4Office Waterloo region?
It was started by 3 of our founders. So there's Marcia, Tapiwa, and Lanoy. Marcia is here with us. And then it sort of grew, and we've had our students that have worked with us as well, and then there's me. So I would say about 5 or 6, give or take. Yes. And we've, as Marcia was saying earlier, that the notion of our work has sort of grown, and it's grown across Canada, and we find that people find our message to be very important. But it's just been 5 or 6 of us.
I see you everywhere.
Yes.
Last met you at the Multicultural Festival.
Yes.
But I already had a bookmark in my pocket from maybe the picnic, the Labor Day picnic.
Ah, yes.
Maybe something from another festival earlier in the year.
Yes.
Yep. We've tried to be out wherever we notice that once the good weather hits, we have to hit the road. Because we know that way we'll get a chance to talk to people. Yes, social media is great for when everybody, it's cold and that kind of thing. But once the weather gets warm, we need to go where the people are, and that's what we've done. And we know that it's really important for us to interact with the public and for them to know how valuable they are and their participation. Yeah. And I think that's what we've been able to do, that one-on-one, and us being physically present in the various places over the course of the good weather, that's really, really helped us a lot. It's helped, I think we're going to see, although we can't actually count for sure we're going to get the 3,000, but we think we're going to. We know that lots of people have registered as a consequence of our QR code and distribution of our materials. And the electronic voter registration stops on August
12th.
August 12th.
In 2 days.
So it's only 2 days to go, and
Yes.
you can't register anymore online. But you can. You will get you can go to one of the polling offices and get your register there. No problem on the day that you can vote.
Right.
There's no problem as long as you've got meaningful identification
Right.
and you're 18 and you're a Canadian citizen. So there should be no problem with you being able to vote. And we're going to try and help more and more people understand that it's really crucial that you get to vote on October the 26th. It's just really, this has been an amazing experience to sit down and chat with people. I've been a volunteer since I moved here in '82, and this is probably one of the most exciting volunteer pieces that I've done. Some of the others have been important, but this one is the most personally exciting for me.
It's not unlike running a political campaign itself.
Ah, there you go.
We usually keep that on the low.
No, I mean, years ago I probably would have done. But, life, again, sometimes gets in the way and you can't do certain things. However, you can find other ways to contribute. And so this is my way of contributing to the political process.
Yes.
Did I help somebody else get, elected? Yes, I've been a part of somebody's campaign. And that's tremendously rewarding as well.
Yeah.
When the person wins, and it's also rewarding when they don't, because you learn a lot by being around all of the people and so forth. So it's in my opinion, this kind of politics is fun. The politics that is not far away. It's not the faraway issues, it's the local issues.
Yeah. Local issues are more crucial to the average citizen than the provincial or the federal issues. I mean, there's that pipeline going out west, which is an important, high-profile federal issue.
Yes.
But it's not directly going to affect you as much as the pothole in front of your driveway.
No, or, I'm going to bring up something that's kind of controversial right now, which is, the data centers.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's going to be on council. It's going to be an issue coming up at council tomorrow, regional council tomorrow, that we put a hold on anymore because I think we understand right now we have 4 in the region. And we need to maybe think about what's the implications of that, you know? The one that they're building out west is supposed to be gigantic and, you know, have its own electricity and its own source of water and all kinds of things.
Wow.
But nobody knows what the implications are of these things.
Yeah.
So maybe it is something that we should be paying attention to. 'Cause,
The other-
The things you learn as a candidate or as a politician about all manner of things that you wouldn't necessarily think are related directly to municipal issues.
No,
It's incredible how much you learn.
exactly.
So that's rewarding all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
People may want to get involved. People may want to get not just involved with the voting process or running as a candidate, but involved with your organization.
Right. So we can have them.
Well, yes, you can contact us or get involved with us. If you'd like to volunteer with us, you can. The best way to find us is on our social media and our website. Our website is just www.run4OfficeWR.ca, which is a very nice way to contact us, get on our mailing list if you're interested in finding out what our next events are. The other way you can contact us is just, I guess, on our social media. Our Instagram, Facebook, everything is just at Run4OfficeWR.
You have all of those.
Yes.
Run for Office is RUN, the number 4,
Yes.
OfficeWR.ca.
.ca. And our social media is just at Run4Office, again, number 4, WR, and that's it. And come to our events. We're always open to having volunteers. We're always open to having people attend our events. We make sure that we have enough food all the time so people can come in. And
Having
one
an
way of
event with
making-
food is a big attractor.
That's one way of making politics fun, as we say.
Yep.
And and our next event coming up is on September 4th. It's our next Friday after 5. We like to call them our guest speaker series, with Hans Roach, who's a councillor in Waterloo, as our main speaker.
And a candidate, too.
And a candidate too. That's right.
Yeah.
In October, we're going to have 2 events. We're having another of our guest speaker series, but we're also going to be having what we call our Voters' Rites of Passage. And so that's an event that we're hosting for the first time ever. And it's basically a I voted for the first time party. And it's going to be food. There's going to be, a lot of our high school volunteers are going to turn 18. And so they'll be able to vote then. It's our way of congratulating them for voting, but also the amount of community members that we've spoken with who haven't voted before and are gearing up to vote in this election. It's our way of celebrating them, saying, good job, you've
Right.
you've
And
done
we'll
this.
feed them.
And we'll feed them. Yes.
So
Give
the
them
next big thing
dessert.
coming up is happening where?
It's going to be at the University of Waterloo. It's going to be in EC5, September 4th, the building. That's 305 Phillips Street. And it's just going to be on the 2nd floor of the EC5 building.
Okay. What time?
5 to 7 p.m.
5 to 7 p.m. on
Friday,
Friday,
the 4th of September.
Friday the 4th of September. We'll have it all on our show notes, which you can see at radiowaterloo.ca/ccc.
Yes, perfect. And you can also find it on our website and our social media as well.
We want to thank you for your time today.
Yes.
And we know that it's meaningful participation is what we're encouraging people
Yes.
to look for, and to know that there is meaningful participation out there. We are trying to be one of the entrance ways for you to find that.
Exactly.
That we would love you to volunteer to help somebody in their campaign, even if you don't want to run,
Right.
but you might be able to help somebody else be successful.
Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lulia.
Thank you, Bob.
Marcia and Lulia from Run for Office WR. You've been listening to CKMS Community Connections for the 10th of August, 2026. My name is Bob Jonkman. CKMS Community Connections is sponsored by Radio Waterloo. We air every Monday at 3 p.m. I'll be back next week.